Customers say we love the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every motherfucker must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 259.
Yep.
Did I say 259? 259. Back in the virtual nerd basements, guys. Welcome back. It's great to be here.
Hey, CD. I'm drinking too.
Well, good. You gotta keep it up. We're drinking as well. It is a blustery, cold second week of the of 2022.
Dude, it's fucking seriously cold.
It's nuts. It's like fucking crazy cold over the last like 2 days, last couple 2-3 days. Stella I just picked up Stella from the airport. She was in Florida for 10, 11, 12 days, I think it was. I thought she was going to be here till the end of the week. But like 2 nights ago, she's like, no, I'm coming home on Tuesday night. I went, oh, already. And she was the whole ride in. She's, God, it's so cold. It's so good. It's like it just came from Florida.
CD, no, I say it's cold when it hits single digits.
Yeah. It gets, for me, under, once it cracks like under 30 is when I'm starting to go, yeah, it's cold. It's
the lower 20s is when it really gets.
The lower 20s is when you're in Michigan, lower 20s, and if that wind whips up, and I'm talking, I mean, if the wind chill makes it and everything, if the feel is, 20 or under, then you're really starting to feel, it's starting to get cold. I'm not one of those guys that like is gonna walk around in shorts in January or something like that. That's just asinine. I was in Royal Oak the other day picking up I went to they ordered some food from Noodles and Company, and the nearest one is in Royal Oak. So I'm parking and I'm walking over there, and I see this idiot wearing, I kid you not, like mid-thigh shorts, and I'm like over the knee mid-thigh short, like not even like basketball shorts that go like low, and a light jacket, and I'm in my fucking full-length black leather duster, and I've got a hoodie on underneath it, and gloves. It was fucking cold, man. It was like 29 degrees, and this idiot is, and it wasn't like he parked his car and just ran in somewhere, but I mean, he was walking down the street with this girl or whatever. I'm just like, even when you're just like, you got to park your car and you're just going to run into the store real quick. What is it about this time of the year? What makes you think you can wear shorts? I just don't get these guys that I know that like wear shorts all the fucking time. Like I've known like a couple of guys that are like kind of bigger dudes. Like, well, I'm kind of a big fat guy and I'm always hot. I got to wear shorts. I'm always hot. I'm like, are those shorts, is that little bit of fabric going to make that much difference? I mean, it never has for me, but I just don't understand these guys that shorts in the dead of winter. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I had a buddy that did that. CD said he'd wear shorts until about 30.
Because legs don't get cold. Well, my legs get cold. My legs get cold. My feet get cold. My legs get cold.
Last night Renee and I went out to trivia, and it was like 16 with -3 wind chill.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, dude. Just ridiculous. Horrible.
So I don't know what just happened with Renee's computer, but it looked like she blue screened and restarted.
Yeah, it did look kind of weird. I saw that. Now there's a swan in the back there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a picture she took.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
You're a pretty skinny guy, Russ.
I am. I'm a thin dude. I'm not as skinny as I used to be, but I'm on the thin side. But once again, it does have to get it's got to get under 30 before I'm where I'm starting to bitch about it being cold. But, unless I'm outside for hours and hours and hours. That being said, how was the rest of your week other than it being kind of rather chilly?
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was, a typical week. Although curling on Sunday was a nightmare. About a quarter of the people called off curling for various reasons. I mean, COVID is just so rampant right now. And I just saw an article. I didn't read it, but I saw the headline of that. They're warning that in Michigan we're going to have an unprecedented COVID outbreak.
Well, I'd also read an article saying that, or I didn't read the article. I read the headline where somebody had said, it just kind of flashed by on my phone, that there are a number of doctors they're saying that the pandemic should start to peter out in 22. Finally. But because now we've had enough people that have either been vaccinated or have caught it, that it's now getting to the point where we're going to start to see the downslope,
Yep.
But the Omicron kind of pushed those numbers over the top. I mean, they're still getting a lot of people at the hospitals. There was a big surge, of course, lately, but it wasn't quite as bad as the first time around, because the first time around we didn't have the vaccines. So the majority of people that are getting it are able to be at home and kind of convalesce at home.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we've got that, and if you look at the past, that's about the right time frame. Most pandemics, like the Spanish flu back in the early, in the 1918 or something like that, it was about 2 years before it actually fully processed through.
4 years total worldwide. But it was I think you're right, about 2 years is when you started to see the decline.
Yeah.
I saw an article about it, kind of comparing the two a little while ago. And I think it was a total, from very beginning to the very end, it was like a 4 year span of where the world dealt with the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
But that killed 50 million people worldwide.
Well, yeah. Well, we also didn't have the medical technology that we have now COVID would have killed a lot more people if it hadn't been for modern medicine.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, and another friend of mine said that COVID, that the coronavirus has now become endemic to the human population. We will always have COVID-19 now, or COVID, SARS-CoV-2.
We've always had that type of virus.
We've always had coronaviruses, yes.
But this particular one was just very. It was different in that it attacked the lungs the way that it did, and was more contagious and just a much nastier and more serious version. Mm-hmm. But that's what viruses do, is they mutate.
Mm-hmm. They change and mutate. And yikes.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a typical week. It was curling and work, and that's about it.
Well, we gamed on Friday.
Oh, that's right. We did game on Friday. That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had fun. We had a rather long fight near the beginning of the game, and it was funny because it wasn't particularly complicated. It wasn't even particularly hard. It wasn't like a boss fight or anything. But for whatever reason, it went longer than you would have thought.
Well, the thing is that in that fight, there were two things that changed everything. Mm-hmm. One of the big ones was Klimbrum stunning the Weber.
Yeah.
That was huge.
That certainly helped.
And what was the other one that I was thinking of?
Well, the fact that Grimbold started the fight 400 yards before.
Yeah, 300 yards away, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, he shot an arrow off, and then we had to...
Or 300 feet away.
300 feet away. We just spent at least 2 or 3 rounds just getting there.
Yep.
Because he alerted them, but we were, still pretty fucking far away. So, and that kind of drew out everything and stuff. So,
Yeah, and I think it was something Euchariah did. I don't remember what it was, but
he did he teleported in and then activated the.
that was good, but that wasn't like a game changer. I forget what the other one was now, but I remember
the tentacles. Evard's tentacles.
Those helped as well, but yeah, it was. There were a couple of things. I don't remember what the second one was, but Renee and I were talking about it on Saturday, and I was talking about the point. The
point being is that the fight took longer than I thought it would take, even though the fight took longer than you would have expected for a bunch of orcs and a particularly tough wyvern. You know, it was just interesting. You know, the way that played out, because some fights. I mean, look at the Black Dragon fight. Took what, 3 rounds, 4 rounds?
4 rounds. But that one was a little different. But like I told Renee, you guys are starting to get up into the big leagues now. So the fights are going to take longer because they're going to be nastier enemies.
What are we, 8th level now?
Yeah.
Yeah, So it is. You hit that 8th level point. You start to see, you know, a bit of a jump in your difficulty and stuff. So, but it was a great time. It was great. It was nice being around the table. We were 2 people. We were 1 person down, and 1 person mobile.
Yep.
You know, so Pete was mobile, and that took a little. It was a little complicated, but it worked out. So that was good. And yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was. And you guys still didn't make it to Greyhawk, Castle Greyhawk.
Well, we got out front. We just didn't get inside.
Did you actually get there? I thought you guys spent the night. Okay, yeah, you did keep going.
We got there, and then you're like, you know, and you see Castle, you see.
Well, you guys saw it in the distance. You did
see it in the distance, and that's where I'm going to call it. You know? It's like,
yeah, you guys haven't really approached it yet. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week.
Cool. Good.
So what about you? How was your week?
Similar, you know, just kind of chilling. I got into playing Days Gone on my PS5. It's absolute, you know, and I say this, you know, a lot. I mean, I play games specifically that I, you know, for the most part, know I'm gonna like. I started No Man's Sky, which it's cool, and I'm glad that they've patched it and they've fixed the game. Mm-hmm. And I am looking forward to getting more into it. But I played it for an evening for a good 6 hours or so, and I'm like, okay, it was a cool game. It's a cool start. I'll come back to this because this is definitely like a longer term kind of thing. And I wanted to get into some of these other story or a little more story oriented games. And I've been looking forward to play Days Gone for quite a while, which is a zombie variation game. And man, it's beautiful. It's really quite engaging. The storyline is very engaging. There's a lot to do. And it's a shame that they haven't planned a sequel, because they were hoping to make one, but apparently Sony decided that even after selling 8-9 million copies, it wasn't successful enough that they wanted to make a sequel. And apparently CD Projekt Red at one point wanted to buy the IP and make a sequel, but Sony had chosen not to sell it. So hopefully maybe someday eventually we will see a sequel to this game. The zombies in the game are not like undead zombies. They're mutated, basically. They're virus. It's a virus that mutates humans into these like zombie-like creatures. And so it takes
Resident Evil type.
Yeah, because but not quite as nasty as Resident Evil. But it's about 2 years after a worldwide pandemic where this happens, where a good portion of the population gets turned into, like maybe 6 out of every 10 people or something like that. I don't know. And so it's not quite The Stand, but it's where it's like 1 in 1,000 doesn't die. it's but it's a lot. And in the game, you have to deal with like what they call a horde, which is just a huge, massive, moving crowd of these creatures, of these zombie-like creatures. And I haven't gone up against one of them yet because what you're supposed to do is utilize the environment to try and take these guys out. So as you're running and these zombies are chasing you, you're like shooting things and blowing things up, and so that you're blowing the zombies away, and you're activating traps to, and stuff like that. And I haven't hit that part of the game yet. So but it's pretty cool. I mean, you got to watch your ammunition, you got to watch your health. You've got hand-to-hand weapons too, and the hand-to-hand weapons can wear out and break.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you don't see that often in games,
right? And you can repair them, but if you don't repair them in time, they can wear out enough that they'll break in the middle of a fight. Then you've got to use your knife, and you always have a knife that's indestructible, but it's not near as effective as this baseball bat with like a saw blade strapped to it, or a fire axe, or a machete blade made from a machete sword basically made from a lawnmower blade, and things like that. So and your character, you play this biker named Deacon, he calls himself a drifter, and he moves among the couple of different like camp settlements that have been set up, and does work for them. And you do work for them, and you earn credits within that camp, so you can buy weapons and upgrade your motorcycle and things like that, and you increase your reputation with them and stuff. And it is a very engaging game. I've been playing it for probably a good 20 hours and probably more than that, and I'm just kind of really getting into the meat of it now. So, but it's a great game. Check it out. Check out Days Gone. It's about 3 years old now, I think. It's on the PS4. It is playable on the PS5 in the PS4 version. It's a beautiful game. So check it out. That's what I did. That's what I've been doing. I still have a couple more weeks before I go back to work. So
cool. So what are you drinking?
Well, tonight, Blake's apparently is really pulling out of the stops. Their product line has been growing every year, leaps and bounds. I decided to check out their Cherry Cordial, and it is apparently a chocolate cherry hard cider.
Okay.
Now I'm not a huge cherry guy. I like cherries, but I've never been a big fan of cherry flavor, and like cherry candy, take it or leave it. I was always more of a strawberry guy. Cherry flavored, when I was a kid, cherry flavored Kool-Aid was not my favorite and stuff. So I don't tend to go for it. Like, honestly, Zombie Killer, it's okay, but I always preferred I preferred a lot of B Nectar's later flavors, like Black Fang and some of the other ones. So this stuff, it's weird because it looks like they take the Saint Cherry that they made, that Blake's made, their cherry flavored cider, and they added like a sweetness to it that's supposed to be indicative of chocolate, but I'm not really getting a chocolate kind of note. It's not bad. It's not necessarily something I'm going to necessarily like go out of my way to buy. I'm glad I only got a single and not like a 6-pack, because I'm kind of like, I'm not blown away by this. It's interesting. It's on the art. It's got like, you can see it. It's got like a skull design.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yep.
Kind of cool.
I agree with CD. I'm not a chocolate and cider. I'm not sure I'd like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how much I like, because I'm not really getting a chocolate note. I'm getting more of a kind of a sweetness that, I don't know. I wouldn't mind Renee's or your opinion on this, because I'm not really getting chocolate. I'm getting a sweeter cherry. It's not a tart cherry. It's like, I don't know.
Peggy from Married with Children's all over that. Bonbon.
Bonbons. I got it at Christmas. Yeah. Oh, you're a Pac-Man.
Yeah, the ghost back there.
So anyway, it's the cherry cordial or sherry cordial. It's not terrible. It's okay. It's just like a sweeter cherry. I'm not really getting the chocolate. Maybe I don't know. Maybe my palate's not as refined as others. I'm sure it's not. But this is it's okay. So once again, not bad, but not something I'm going to go out of my way for. Like I'll go and if I see Mosa on the shelf from Star Cut, I'll pick that up. If I see Rainbow Seeker or the apple pie or the caramel apple, particularly apple pie more so than the caramel apple from Blake's, some of the other Blake stuff, I'm about it. But this, not so much. So what are you drinking?
Renee and I actually went out today to check out Total Wine, which is a new wine store. They actually took over like an old Toys R Us over at Lakeside Mall. Place is huge. They got tons of wine. They got a cigar humidor. They've got a bunch of beer.
Isn't it a chain? Part of the chain?
Yeah,
I think I've seen those, and I think they might have them in Florida.
Yeah, and anyway, the place is huge. As a matter of fact, that might be where we went when we were in St. Augustine. When Renee and I were down there, that might have been the Total Wine, where they actually had a humidor that was as big as our house. It was like 1,100 square feet.
That's a nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, my new glasses came in today, so I gotta pick them up tomorrow. So new glasses, cool. Finally. Yeah.
Cool. But I am drinking a beer that I actually went up there specifically to look for because I knew it was coming out, and a bunch of places had it. And I'm like, if anybody's going to have it, that place will have it. Let's go check it out. So we actually managed to go in and not spend a lot of money. So
that's saying something.
But I did. But I picked up this year's Hop Slam, which I can't move it around enough. There we go. Which is Bell's. They put it out every year. It's actually, the art on this is one of my favorites. It's let's see, I can't really. There we go. It's a guy getting smashed by a hop leaf or hop bud. It is a lovely golden color. This is a double IPA brewed with honey. They do it once a year. Always comes out right after New Year. The aroma actually isn't overly strong. A lot of times I get like a really strong citrusy note because they use a lot of citrus hops. Citrus flavored hops. But I'm not getting that this year. I'm going to take another sip because I've only had one so far. So, it's very different from years past that I remember. It's not as like hop bold as it has been in the past. There's more. It's almost like there's more honey flavor. There's still that bitterness, that hop bitterness that comes with a double IPA because there's so many hops in it. But it's actually one of the most balanced hop slams I've ever had. It's actually really good. And if I remember correctly, there it is. 10% is the ABV on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big one. But yeah, it's this one's pretty good. Like I said, probably one of the better ones. You can definitely get some of that honey sweetness, but there is still a lot of that hop flavor. It's pretty well balanced. So yeah, if you can find it, only out once a year, it'll only be around for a few weeks. Hop Slam by Bell's. Definitely 2 thumbs up.
Okay. Awesome. Well, very good. So Hop Slam from Bell's and this one, Sherry Cordial from Blake's.
Yeah, I'll probably give this one like 4 1/4 for flavor. It's really good.
Great. So moving on.
Smittix, that's good.
We've got a lot, got a decent amount to talk about tonight. You said you had a couple of things real quick, or do you want me to get into my little thing?
Well, we had the the celebrity deaths that we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Big surprise, Bob Saget. Yeah.
Yeah. Passed away.
I was not a fan
the other day,
but it surprised me.
Yeah. I mean, see, Bob Saget was a dichotomy because most people were familiar with him from Full House and for hosting America's Funniest Home Videos for like 2 decades. I mean, the guy, he was not only the host, but he was also like one of the head writers and stuff. And so people always a lot of people saw him as this America's darling and shit. And the thing is if you saw his stand-up,
he was
comic,
a filthy stand-up comedian.
He is very blue. He worked very blue.
I saw him on the Young Comedian show on HBO way back in the day, and I thought he was horrible. I actually, he was the only comedian on that show that I didn't like.
Yeah, well, he had a very snarky kind of energy. So, now personally, I saw some of his stand-up later after after Full House and he was done with that and stuff. And I was like, okay, I get it. He's not really. I'm not a huge fan, but all right, I get it. I get, and I used to get how frustrated he was because he used to talk about he was really frustrated being on Full House because his character Danny Tanner was so different from who he really was, at least in attitude and stuff. Although there are people that went on and on and on about after he passed away. From his castmates and stuff, they continued to praise him, and a lot of the comedians, the comedy world, talked about how much he had the biggest heart. He was super just really, really nice guy, and just amazingly gave the best hugs and all these other things. The funny thing is one of my friends on Facebook had said something to the effect of that some of his cast members, particularly that had said that he tormented the young girls on the show and things like that. I don't. It sounds contrary to what I've heard. I've heard that he was very supportive, and I mean, all of his cast members were just shocked and they loved him so much. And so I don't know what to believe personally. I guess I'd rather more so believe what his castmates are saying, which is that he was a wonderful person. But who knows? But it was abrupt, and he just was found dead in his hotel room in Orlando. And they said the initial, from what I had read so far, the initial cause of death, they had said there was no evidence of drug use, there was no evidence of foul play. It's looking like he might have just kind of had a massive coronary, or maybe a stroke or a embolism or something, and in his sleep. He's 65 years old. He was found just lying in a prone position on his bed. It's just, some people were like, oh, maybe he choked himself to death while he's jerking off or something. And I'm like, oh God, do we need another one of those? But no, apparently it's just, it's looking like he maybe just died, which is a shame because he was young. He was on the younger, I mean, he wasn't a young man, but he also wasn't an aged man either. He was 65.
Yeah, dude, that's not that far away.
No, I know it's not. It's not. It's literally in 2 weeks. It'll be 17. 12 years from. No, wait, 17 years from me.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12 years. You want to age yourself a little more?
No, I don't.
You want to be older than me?
No, no. I'll be 48 in like 2 weeks. So, 2.5, something like that.
Dude, I can't believe I'm 51. I don't feel it. I don't think of that way in my head. In my head, I'm still 27.
I don't think it either. I mean, most of the time I'm 17.
Well, that's the thing. I don't feel like I've changed all that much since my 20s. I'm like, mentally, I still feel the same. I mean, yeah, I've learned a lot, but
yeah.
Well, Renee says I will forever be 36.
It's a good age. 35, 36. Those are good ages. It's a good place to be.
Yep.
Your mid-30s.
But yeah, and also I forgot about that
Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, Sidney Poitier had also passed away.
Yeah. Less of a connection with him. I mean, he was a pretty amazing actor.
I was an amazing actor.
Yeah, he was also I believe, the first African American to win an Oscar. So he was a really pretty amazing actor and whatever. But he was never an actor that like I kind of revered. I think not in the same.
He was a different generation. He was like a little before my time. For the
more
most
so
part.
our parents.
Yeah.
More so our parents kind of thing. Where. Which is funny because like Morgan Freeman would probably be considered something of a contemporary of Sidney Poitier. Poitier is a bit older than him, but they're still contemporaries. And yet Morgan Freeman is somebody that when he goes, I'll be very bummed out.
Yeah.
Well, but I think because I've connected to more of his roles than I have to Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, and I've seen more of his movies.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see, Sidney Poitier. I know he's done a ton of stuff, but he hasn't done anything since 2001.
Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, and even then, there were 2 TV movies in '99 and 2001. Actually, from '98 on, he hasn't done an actual like theater release movie since '97 when he did The Jackal.
Okay. Interesting.
Now he did play Nelson Mandela in '97 on the Mandela and de Klerk movie.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like he's been kind of out of the limelight for quite a while. I mean, look at like when Sean Connery has been retired since League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And he's getting up there. He's getting pretty old. So I mean,
Gene Hackman retired from acting like 17 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I didn't even realize that. I just saw a picture of him at like 92.
Yeah. He hasn't done much at all. Jack Nicholson is in his 80s. He's in like his early 80s, I think. And he's becoming something of a recluse. In fact, from what I understand, there's some of his friends are some of his friends have been worried about it, because he's been just hanging out in his particularly since the beginning of the pandemic, he's been hanging out in his mansion, just kind of doing his own thing, So
yeah, as Renee said, Sean Connery's dead.
Oh, Sean Connery that's right. Sean Connery passed away, didn't he?
Yeah, on Halloween.
What year? When was that?
2020.
God, really?
Yep.
Man. Yeah, that's right. I guess he did. We no longer have Sean Connery. That's a bummer too,
Yep.
Well, there should be a third one along any day now. Nothing like being grim about it, but just raise a glass to a couple of guys that made an impact no matter what they did.
Yep.
Bob Saget and of course Sidney Poitier.
Yep.
Probably an even bigger impact, really.
Poitier had a huge impact. So that, and I just thought of something else that I was going to bring up, but it completely slipped my mind. One of the things, another thing that I was going to talk about real quick, I am going to start streaming my very first playthrough of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I think I'm going to start playing it tomorrow. I got everything set up today. I'm going to start playing it tomorrow. So.
Oh my God. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to watching. I'll probably tune in for some of those, watching you, making comments and whatnot while you're doing it. No, don't do that. Choose that. No, you want to get this. I can get. I'll give you a couple of tips right now.
No spoilers.
No, of course. It's more like about. Okay, so there's the main storyline, and there are shit tons of side stories. There's lots and lots of side quests and things like that. Never be afraid to set the main story aside and concentrate on some side quests and get your levels up and just kind of work on that. There is like, I've seen people go to level 30 or 40 into the 30s and 40s before they even start to touch on the main storyline. Like, or they do enough to get the shouts, get your fusurada, because you kind of gotta get to a certain point it's at the very beginning of the main storyline where that kind of unlocks. But once they get that, then they just kind of do side quests for quite a while, and what that does is it makes you more powerful for those quests. I'll tell you right now that one of the bigger frustrations of the game with me, even though I love the game, is that eventually dragons really aren't scary anymore. I mean, they can be somewhat challenging, but
they become like first edition dragons.
Kind of. They become. I've always felt like in a game that has dragons in it, the dragons should be some of the scariest, most powerful shit in the game. Like, no matter what, the dragon should always scale harder. It should level with you, and like the more powerful you get, they should also get more powerful too. And I feel like in Skyrim they get to a certain point. Like, I've seen people one-shot dragons, with a very powerful arrow or whatever else. Or you get a critical hit.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but as soon as you said that, CD posted, I should not be able to one-shot dragons, but can in Skyrim.
Yeah,
it was like, as soon as you said you can one-shot dragons, that came up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like he was saying, you can go through the main story quest, and then say, okay, now I'm going to do all the sideline stuff. Personally, I like to do the sideline stuff as I'm going. So I'll do some side quests, and then I'll do some stuff with the main storyline, and then and that's the other thing too. The main storyline is massive. It's huge. It's there's several branches from the main storyline too. So we do let's see what else. You're going to want to definitely whatever version you have. I'm sure you have the legendary version, which is the version with the DLC baked in. If I were you, I would pay the $10 or whatever it is for the anniversary edition, which just came out, and that gives you a bunch of extra. It gives you some more side quests, some more content, and just some really cool extra stuff. There's some more houses to have that you can have, and there are different places, and there's a farmstead that you can manage and do. I'd also recommend getting like either buying or downloading the guidebook. Not that you'll need it, because I never really needed to use the guidebook excessively, but every once in a while, well, I guess you could probably just look the things up on like a wiki or something at some point. But I kind of liked having like the guidebook just here and there.
The anniversary edition is $20 on Steam.
Okay. Right now. So basically what that does is that it adds in a bunch of stuff from the Creation Club that that would cost more than that. So it's well worth it, in my opinion. So you have it for Steam?
Yeah, I have it through Steam. Yeah.
Okay. So and also I also recommend do an initial playthrough vanilla. Do the non-modded for your first time through, do it non-modded, because you really it helps you really get a true feeling for the game. Now, because you have it on your computer, you can mod the living shit out of it, which is pretty cool. I have it for my PlayStation, so I can mod it, but it's a little more limiting. The modding, you can't do some of the more like the only mods that are allowed on the PlayStation ones are the ones that use the resources of the game. Like there are some mods that use outside resources, and so
CD says you don't even need to mod. He's like, why even mod? You don't need it.
I think that's true. You don't need to mod the game. When I mod it, the only thing I really do is add in things like I want more trees. I want this town to look more like it's got more foliage, or I want there's one mod that makes it so at night it's truly dark. Like you need, because there's no street lights or anything.
Yeah.
So in the vanilla game, if it's at night, you can still see in the dark. You can still see outside and everything. But there's this one mod that basically makes it so you better have a torch or a spell, a light spell going, or you can't see shit at night or in the dark.
I agree, CD. It's usually when I think of modding, it's things that make my life easier on the game. Like whether it's certain like HUD displays or hotkeys or things like that.
Me personally, when I started to mod it, I was just like I want the game to be a little more challenging, but I don't want to do like nightmare mode or one life mode, or I don't want to make every single fucking thing harder in the game. I just want to make it a little more challenging. And that's what some of those mods do. They make it so like, oh, okay. And then there's other mods that like I said, add things in. There's the Creation Club, which are the official like content that has been added into the game. And then there's the mods that are created by the public. Mm-hmm. So and like I said, the Creation Club are and like I said, the $20 that you'd spend on the anniversary edition is a bargain, because the extra stuff that you get would actually cost like double or triple that if you bought them individually. So it's definitely well worth it. Spend the extra $20, get your anniversary edition, and you'll get it all set. The other thing I'd say too is don't limit yourself to like, I'm going to be just a I'm going to be just a fighter. I'm only going to use a sword and shield. Make sure you use some other weapons. Use a two-handed weapon. Use because the more you use the different things, the higher your skills go up with it, and the more powerful you get. So if there's the opening parts, the very beginning of the game is basically there's a small, there's a tutorial essentially, and it's not really, it's worked into the beginning of the game, so it's not so much a tutorial as it is like just the beginning of the game teaches you how to play it. And don't overuse fast travel, because climbing on a horse or just running around is how you discover things. Riding.
I've played RPGs before.
Pardon?
I said I've played RPGs before.
Yeah, but it's been a while since you've played a Bethesda, game. So but yeah, because as you're walking around, it's like, oh, there's that place there and this place there. The nice thing about this game, about Skyrim over Oblivion, which is the previous Elder Scrolls, is they do have a lot more map markers. And in Oblivion, there weren't really map markers. Or
in Morrowind, there were none, and that was where I started.
Yeah, and in Oblivion, you didn't know where things were.
I just got lost in Morrowind. That was the most frustrating thing. I just wandering around a field, and all of a sudden get attacked by something. I'd fight it, and I'd just be wandering again because I'd lose where I was. I don't know which direction I'm going.
Exactly. And that's what happened in Oblivion a lot too. I would get lost. I don't know where the fuck I had to go or where I was supposed to go.
Yeah, CD, I have no idea what class or race I'm doing. I gotta load it up. I did it. Yeah. I actually did start playing it. And I kind of played through the very, very beginning before. But that was like 6 months ago at least. So I don't remember what I even took, but
it's where you
I remember fighting through some tower or something like that. I was in the back of a wagon.
You wake up in the back of a wagon. You've been captured. You're going to be put to death. Blah blah blah.
Dragon attacks and yeah, I remember doing that part, but I never got past that, and so I want to do an actual playthrough. I don't remember what race I took. I don't remember any of that. I'm just going to pick something when I start it up tomorrow. So
cool. Well, let me know when you're gonna be on, and maybe I'll. I'm gonna be out.
Yeah. You'll probably be asleep when I'm on because I may be doing it in the morning because I got some time. So
okay, well maybe. Even so, I'll be sure to I'll try and watch it again on the Twitch channel and
yeah, and then you can give me critiques on. Exactly. You should have done this.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like for me, what I do is because you have tons of different skills that you can level up, that you have to level up, and then there's also the schools of magic that you learn, and I try and level up as much as I can to get as high level as I can. When you're making your blacksmithing, and you're making armor and swords and stuff like that, and jewelry, and you can sell the jewelry, and then but also you want to level up your various different magics and stuff so that you can just gives you those abilities as well. And that's the nice thing about Skyrim. You're not and Elder Scrolls, you're not relegated to just I'm a fighter, I'm a mage, I'm a thief. You can be all of those at the same time. You just adjust what you're wearing and adjust the weapons that you're using, and and you can be any of those things. Oh, the other thing too is you're going to want to carry everything. Encumbrance is a thing in this game. So you got to keep in mind, I always keep at least, I always have a bow, I have 2 different weapons, and then 1 set of armor. And then when you get your first home, your first couple of homes, then you can store things at the home, and you can go back and you're like, okay, I want to change into light armor now instead of heavy armor. Wear the light armor for a while, or I want to put on mage robes instead, that kind of thing. So get that first house as soon as you can. That's what I do too. So anyway, you're gonna love it, I promise you.
So it's gonna be old guy, or what was it I came up with? Elder nerd playing Elder Scrolls.
Elder nerd playing Elder Scrolls. I like it. That sounds good. Hang on, I'm just telling somebody where they can find us on Twitch.
Telling somebody where to go?
Yeah, somebody where to go.
Twitch.tv/drinkingnerds.
We are live on Twitch at Drinking Nerd.
It's twitch.tv/drinkingnerds. So, but yeah, other than that, I did have a quick conversation with somebody. Renee and I are members at the wine club at Cooper's Hawk, which is a chain restaurant. Does their own wines and stuff. They're really good stuff. And we were talking with the guy that was doing the tasting, because we went up to pick up our bottles for the wine club, and we did a tasting as well. And this guy had a bunch of tattoos, really cool stuff. You can see him coming out of his sleeve. He had long sleeves, but you can see him at the end. And then the backs of his hand, both hands, and the knuckles of his fingers were all tattooed as well. And Renee noticed on the one that it was the bat symbol, and inside of that was the Joker's smile.
That's cool.
And she actually said that. She goes, I really like that. He said that he's like, that's really cool that you noticed that, because a lot of people realize that it's the Joker's smile, but they don't see the bat symbol around it.
Oh, cool.
And his other hand, he had Harley Quinn on. And
cool.
it was kind of cool. So he started asking me if we were interested in, if we were excited about the new Batman movie coming out. And I said, I wasn't at first, but the more I see about it, the more I I kind of want to see it. I'm not happy with the look of Bruce Wayne, but I like the idea of the story and things like that. And he said, yeah, and Renee was bringing up the whole emo Batman thing, and how he looks like, you know, he could be the lead singer for My Chemical Romance. So but he said that he thinks that they're trying to go for more of a noir type of thing. And I said, yeah, from what I've heard, they're trying to do more of like the World's Greatest Detective type of storyline for him. They're focusing more on his detective abilities than a lot of the really cool gadgets and stuff like that. And he said also that from what he's
it's also supposed to be a younger Batman too, like at the beginning of his career.
Yeah, and so he also said that the Riddler seems to have like the Zodiac killer vibe going as well, which I know you were saying when we were talking about it earlier that you don't like the way that they're doing the Riddler.
Not so much, you know. I like the Riddler being more of a. I wasn't a huge fan of the Jim Carrey Riddler either. I don't want him to be just Joker light, but he should be like this urbane, obnoxious intellectual, like the smartest guy in the room and knows it, and honestly is arrogant about it, and I don't.
As many problems as I had with the show, as being a Batman show, one of my favorite Riddlers is actually from Gotham. The way they portrayed him in Gotham, I thought was really good.
Yeah, I thought so too. You know, socially awkward, like I said, genius to the point of being, you know, like just an awkward guy, and but once again, the smartest dude in the room.
I wasn't crazy about him actually working for Gotham PD, but I thought that it was an interesting twist in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I thought the Gotham Riddler. I mean, it was a good. I liked how it showed kind of his descent. I mean, I fell away from that show. I actually have all of the DVD sets.
I need to watch season 5. That's the only one I haven't seen yet.
I need to get back into it. I watched like through season 2, I think, and then I kind of went, I'm going to come back to this later. And so I did. I bought all 5 of the DVD sets, and I'm going to go back to it eventually. Cool. I think once I'm caught up on the Arrowverse, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we should move on because we're already at almost an hour, and I know you have another big list to go through.
Let me do this real quick. This list, yeah.
You know, you said that last week, and it took like 20 minutes. So
we'll do real fast. So these are the top 25 shows that either premiered or came out, or the top 25 TV shows of 2021. So number 25, we have Reservation Dogs. This is a show co-created by Taika Waititi and filmmakers Sterling Harju.
Heard that was good.
It's a Hulu show. It's about teenage kids on a Native American reservation, and it's apparently very funny and doing very well. I want to check it out. It's there as they attempt to raise money to escape their lives.
Yeah. So as CD put it, here's a bunch of shows I had no time to watch.
Right. Number 24 is Invincible, the show, the animated show that we've talked about. Amazing show. It's on Amazon, based on one of my favorite comic books of all time. Is there
like a bound edition of Invincible?
There's several. There's you can get several bound editions. They're like this fucking thick. They're crazy. But I think there's like 3.
Okay.
3 volumes.
So they're more like omnibuses rather than just like
it's more of an omnibus. And there's because it's 150
that was 144
issues. And so it's a lot. But they're well worth it. I mean, they're like $100 a piece, but or 90, maybe not quite that much, but they are it's a great comic, and it's a comic I try and recommend to people who
you've been talking about that. I remember talking about that comic like in some of our first shows. You were telling me about that comic.
Yeah. How fantastic it was and stuff. Yeah. The comic's been done for a couple of years now, but it's an absolutely fantastic comic. So number 23 is Get Back, the documentary docuseries about the Beatles on Hulu as well. I haven't watched it, but I've heard if you're a big Beatles fan, apparently
I just saw that come up
really
like a couple days ago on my Hulu feed. It was like you should watch this.
Yeah. While the resulting album may not be one of the most beloved, the documentary, directed by the great Peter Jackson and shot in the 60s by Michael Lindsay Hogg, will be treasured for years to come by both fans of the band and not. So basically, the guy shot it in the 60s, and then Peter Jackson, it looks like he shot it. He took all the footage and put it together.
Yeah.
So number 22, we have The Great on Hulu as well. Elle Fanning returning on top form as Catherine the Great in The Great second season. The series charts Catherine's rise to power after marrying Emperor Peter III of Russia, played by Nicholas Hoult. I haven't watched it, but I'm hearing very funny, very cool, very weird, because it's like it takes place at that time period, but is also very it has a lot of kind of modern sensibility and some of the language and stuff. And they both got Golden Globe nominations. In fact, the Golden Globes happened yesterday, I believe. It was either yesterday or the day before, but it was not televised this year. So interestingly enough. Number 21 is Hacks, which I did watch also on HBO Max, I believe. It is really funny. Gene Smart heads up this brilliantly clever comedy series about a legendary stand-up comic who's struggling to appeal to younger generations. And she brings in this young woman who's a writer, comedy writer, and the two of them create this great rapport and relationship. It was really funny. I like binged it in an evening. It was really, really funny. Number 20 this time with Alan Partridge, season 2. It's this one act. It's the one actor going back to this character, Alan Partridge, who is like apparently this kind of toxic radio or television host. It's a British character in British television. I'm not overly familiar with it, but I've heard it's pretty funny. So, number 19, Bluey, season 2. A rare appearance for a children's show on Total Film's annual list of the best TV shows. Bluey is a comforting delight for all ages. The incredibly charming 8-minute episodes are too good to be wasted on preschoolers. So full of warmth and wit are the adventures of Australian blue heeler Bluey and her family and the neighborhood. Season 2 highlights included a trip to the movies, an interstellar dream sequence, and Christmas and Easter escapades. But the show's real selling points were its imagination, capturing childhood play, and empathy. Did any parents not find a bit of grit in their eye during mom school or baby race? So
Next.
Number 18, Cobra Kai season 3. Now season 4 just came out.
Yeah.
So
I've only watched the first episode so far of season 4.
Yeah, I'm through season 1. I think I still have to get into season 2.
It is such a good show.
It's a fantastic show. I just am watching so many things, and I think I'm gonna be picking this one up again real soon because man, it's so good. In season 3, you see John Kreese come back. You see, I believe it's at the end of season 3. It's
actually in the middle of season 3.
Middle of season 3. You see Daniel LaRusso goes back to Okinawa at one point. I mean, it's
and they bring back the woman that he was involved with it when he went to Okinawa in Karate Kid 2, and the guy that he had the fight with in that movie. Right. It's really good.
Elizabeth Shue is also in.
Yes. She comes back too.
She comes back. The girl.
They're bringing back like everybody. Like in season 4, they're bringing back the guy from Karate Kid 3.
Yeah. Yes.
Which I never saw, actually.
You never saw that?
No.
So number 17, we have Sex Education, season 3 on Netflix. Third season of Netflix, consistently brilliant school set comedy drama. It's about a guy basically whose mom is a sex therapist, and he, because of that, is very well versed in sexual things, and so he becomes kind of like this sex therapist for his school. And Gillian Anderson plays his mother, and it's supposed to be really great. I haven't watched it, but it is on my list. I hear it's funny. Number 16 is What We Do in the Shadows, season 3. What We Do in the Shadows, we talked about this on the show before. It is honestly one of the funniest shows on television today. If you are not watching What We Do in the Shadows, you are missing the fuck out. It is incredible. And season 3 did not disappoint. In fact, they just keep upping themselves. It's fantastic. Number 15, we've talked about it. We did a review of each episode. Loki was genius. Absolutely fantastic, mind-bendingly good Marvel TV show on Disney Plus. I'm not going to go into it because you all know what I'm talking about. Number 14 is Inside Number 9, season 6, another British sitcom. Don't know a whole lot about it, but apparently pretty funny. Number 13 is Maid. Lead actor Margaret Qualley is the daughter of Andy McDowell and former model Paul Qualley. But anyone thinking nepotism had anything to do with her landing the lead of this Netflix series clearly hasn't watched it. She played Alex, a young mother who loves her emotionally abusive boyfriend, or leaves her emotionally abusive boyfriend, and gets a job as a maid to try and make ends meet, balancing grit and turmoil with love and hope. Maid backdrop the fierce love between a mother and daughter and the broken U.S. welfare system. So seems kind of heavy. Number 12, we have Ted Lasso season 2. I haven't watched this because I believe it's on Apple TV.
It's on Apple TV, and fuck Apple.
Yeah, fuck Apple. But people can't say enough about Ted Lasso. Apparently, everybody fantastic.
Yeah, everybody I know says, dude, you should watch this show. I'm like, yeah, you know what? When it's not on Apple, I'll watch it.
Right, exactly. The lead actor is what's his fuck? You know him, he used to be on SNL. They keep going on and on about this great character, and so you should probably check it out if you got Apple. Tell us if you've got it and you like it. Tell us about it. 11, only murders in the building is the Steve Martin and Martin Short show on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet, but people keep saying it's incredible. Selena Gomez, Amy Ryan, Nathan Lane, Tina Fey, and Jane Lynch, not to mention Sting, all looked like they were having the best time trying to solve a grisly whodunit. And the show's gentle podcast pastiche paid off well enough to feel funny as well as genuinely gripping. Rarely has a show about cold-blooded murder felt so cozy. So, and I mean, so many people on this show I adore. I love Steve Martin and Martin Short, so I'm definitely going to check that out when I can.
Well, that's the thing. I remember when that came out, and I was like, yeah, I should probably check that out.
Yeah. Number 10 is Time, a show called Time. Looks like another British show. Time focused on Eric McNally, a firm but fair prison officer who finds himself compromised when some of the inmates learn that he's a son in another prison. So, interesting. Number 9, another Marvel great, WandaVision, the one that kicked off all these incredible Marvel shows this year. WandaVision was another show that was just absolutely genius, kind of turned everybody's...
I really thought that was really good.
It was amazing. And it turned everybody's, kind of expectations on their ear. We have number 8. We have Scenes from a Marriage, freely updated from Ingmar Bergman's 73 original. Itself shot as a miniseries before being condensed for a theatrical cut. It's an HBO drama with Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac's all over the place these days with his work in the Star Wars movies, the later Star Wars movies, to being just in all kinds of stuff. He himself is going to be in a Marvel show, I believe on Hulu later this year. He's Moon Knight, and I'm really excited about that later on. Number 7, It's a Sin. Russell T. Davies went back to the 80s for this moving AIDS drama, a forceful clarion call against complacency and intolerance that only served as a heartfelt elegy for a lost generation. It's a British television show, I believe.
If it's Russell T. Davies, it's most definitely British.
Yeah.
He's Doctor Who. He's the Doctor Who guy. It's got Neil Patrick Harris on it. It's not, interesting. So number 6, we got Squid Game. I haven't watched it. People keep talking all about it. I'm in the middle of it. I've watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard it's wildly interesting. So I'm going to probably check that out eventually. We have number 5, The White Lotus, set in an Edenic Hawaiian resort. Mike White's latest cringe com played like Todd Solondz' happiness spliced with faulty towers. Rich white folks arrived to sip cocktails and scuba dive, but instead found themselves grappling with questions of race and colonialism, entitlement and consent as scenarios that were simultaneously hilarious and bracingly uncomfortable and furrowed. We got Connie Britton, Steve Zahn, Alexandra Daddario, Jennifer Coolidge, Sydney Sweeney, and Best in Show Looking's Murray Bartlett. So, seemed kind of cool. I remember seeing something about that. Number 4, we have The Underground Railroad. obviously about the Underground Railroad. Number 3, Mayor of Easttown, Kate Winslet charted awards chatter for Ammonite, but it was her raw, real portrayal of small-time Pennsylvania cop juggling a murder investigation, PTSD, and various sandwiches that really made a mark. So, cop show, basically. Number 2, we have Succession Season 3, which is another one of those amazing HBO shows.
Renee and I started Succession a while back and kind of fell out of it.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing. And then number 1, Midnight Mass on Netflix. When journalists were traded to advance showings of Netflix flagship horror series, they were also emailed a welcome letter by its writer-director Mike Flanagan. In it, Flanagan admitted that Midnight Mass was my favorite show so far. Some claim, given the care and consideration brought to adapting Stephen King's Dr. Sleep and Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, and he spoke of its personal nature, given he's a former altar boy and is 3 years sober. Faith and addiction played key roles in a series that also tackled prejudices, fanaticism, and systemic corruption. Okay. I've heard really amazing things about this show too. Another example of that there's too many fucking things to watch these days.
I mean, one that I think belongs on the list but was Hawkeye. I thought that was a phenomenal show.
Absolutely. I would have to agree more. I would say absolutely. I think Hawkeye was one of the, and I said it on the show before, one of the most satisfying final episodes of the.
Well, CD. Yeah, I've heard that Expanse is fantastic. That's the next show on our list. Renee and I are going back.
Me too.
I watched the entire series, but Renee had only seen episodes here and there, so we're actually going back and watching Castle right now. We're on season 6, but oh wait. Auntie Dawn, hi. Sorry this is delayed. I'm driving home, but had to pull over to say I love Ted Lasso. Jason Sudeikis won the Golden Globe yesterday.
That was it, Jason Sudeikis. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I said that earlier because CD actually said that a while ago when you were talking.
He also does a voice. He's one of the voices on Hit Monkey, and I watched the first 2 episodes of Hit Monkey.
I haven't watched any of that yet.
God. Oh my God, it's fucking wild and it's amazing, and I can't wait to finish that one up.
But yeah, so. Anyway, Expanse is the next show that Renee and I are going to watch. That's the next one on our list. But another show that, and this is one, Renee and I, the 3rd season just came out on HBO Max. It's a British comedy. There actually is an American version now on CBS, but we haven't watched the American version yet, but the British one is just so funny. It's Ghosts.
Oh, yeah, there's a British version and an American version.
Yes, that's what I said. I said there's the British version and then they're on HBO Max, and then there's the American version on CBS. And we haven't watched that yet. Ghosts though on HBO Max, the British version, there's only 6 episodes a season plus a Christmas episode in the last 2 seasons, so 7 episodes on those. It is absolutely fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And
a little bit I've seen.
Yeah.
Really good.
And I really love that show, and I'm so happy when we get new episodes. And then Letterkenny that just came out at Christmas. Season 10, definitely not the strongest, but seeing Wayne actually shake hands with Shoresy.
Yeah.
Who he also plays.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah.
Some great stuff. We also had season 5 of Rick and Morty too, which I haven't watched yet. So.
I'm still in season 1. Renee and I haven't gotten through season 1 yet. We need to get back to that.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So are we gonna go to the spoilerific Spider-Man?
I think we go into spoilerific Spider-Man. Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna talk Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
Which I really wish I would have seen it again because it's been like 3 weeks now since I've seen it. And holy shit, what a fucking amazing movie.
Just incredible. Just a fantastic film. And I was blown away about how good this movie was. It was so nostalgic.
It was. And I like the way that they brought everyone in, and I like the way they did it. I like the fact that Tobey Maguire, they didn't try and de-age him or anything.
No.
He was, and elder Spider-Man.
He was Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Who had that, he had that mentality too. And I also love the fact that they called out the whole web shooting out of himself.
That was cool. Yeah. That he's got natural spinnerets and stuff.
Yeah.
That was really.
Does it come out anywhere else?
Anywhere else? Yeah. No,
did you ever get a web block?
Yeah, actually, I did. I was like, what happened? What was it from? Existential crisis. Oh, yeah, I've had those. Yeah, it's just like, I liked how, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was like probably like a Spidey in his late 30s. You know, even though Tobey's like my age, he might even be a little bit older. But he's like a Spider-Man, like he's like the elder statesman of the three, you know. And yeah,
he is 46.
Okay, so he's 2 years younger than I am, and so yeah, but he, you know, Tobey Maguire.
Andrew Garfield is 38.
Yeah, and so and that Spidey, his Spidey is more like he's like 28 or so, or maybe 30. You know, so because that's the thing, each one of them was at least a bit older than the other one, or a bit younger anyway.
But yeah, their interaction I thought was just fucking fantastic. The way that they talked to each other and just got to know each other, and the way that they interacted, I thought was fantastic. Alfred Molina, actually all the bad guys were just fantastic. Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe, though, just out of this world, fantastic. Them curing Doc Ock.
Oh yeah.
And by fixing the chip.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I thought
was
was
so cool.
Incredible.
I mean, it showed more and more about how they're, I think, trying to make Doc Ock more redeemable, because it's one of those things that they've tried to do in the comics lately. Is they're trying to make, I think, Doc Ock a little bit more of a, and a lot of the Marvel villains are villains you want to be able to. At least in the MCU specifically, they're villains that you want to be able to relate to. I think,
and that's what I was going to bring up. Was that's the thing we've talked about a lot, is that the MCU villains tend to be relatable.
Right.
Now, I don't think Kingpin's going to be relatable. I think he's just going to be an evil fuck.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, you can see their point of view, and you can see where they're coming from.
Even with the Kingpin, you can still see, like, you know, one of the things that drives him to do what he does is the loss of his wife, you know. The loss of the people that he loves, you know, that's, you know, the one thing, it's kind of like in Shang-Chi, the one thing that made his father not a monster was the love of Song's mother, and, you know, she was taken from him, and it made him go back to being a villain again and stuff. So, and I mean, that's the trope of, the love of all a bad boy needs is the love of a good woman, which is bullshit, but it's still you know, kind of a common kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. It could be, you know, the loss of a beloved pet, or the destruction of the person's home, or
you go with John Wick there, the loss of a beloved pet.
Sure. I mean, it was deeper than that, but it was also his car. But
I haven't seen it yet. I realized that I bought the John Wick trilogy, and I bought the wrong one. I bought the Ultra 4K, and I don't have a 4K player. So,
oh man, you got to get yourself one. Well, when you get a PS5.
Well, that's the thing. I'm waiting until I can get my PS5 now. So, Thanos was right. Renee posted Thanos was right. But yes, so I thought all of that was really good. I thought now the introduction or going to see Doctor Strange. And going in there and seeing all the snow and everything in there, and the explanation, and Wong being there, and, like, you know, basically blaming Strange, and then finding out that Wong is actually the Sorcerer Supreme now.
Yeah. Yeah, because Steven was dusted for 5 years.
He's like, it was a technicality.
I didn't think about that, but I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I think we'll see Steven moving closer and closer to that Sorcerer Supreme title in this new movie coming up.
Yeah, but that's not till May now.
No. Now I got to admit, I really did love Stephen Strange's appearance in this film. He was great. He wasn't he didn't dominate. He wasn't like, he was kind of like how when Tony Stark showed up in Homecoming,
yeah. And I liked how they did it, the whole thing where Peter goes to him to make people forget that he's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And then he keeps adding on things to it, but like a kid would, as he thinks of things. And Strange is trying to keep this spell together, and all of a sudden it spirals out of control, and it's about to fracture the universe, the multiverse. And so he condenses it all and puts it in that box. Mm-hmm. And he's like, now we're going to destroy it. And Peter's like, no. And they get into that fight. The one thing that I thought was the coolest in that entire thing was when Strange hits him and knocks his spirit form out. The thing that I noticed was he had the spider sense symbols around his head. He had the little squiggly lines that they always drew in the comics for when he had his spider sense. I'm like, holy shit! The Peter Tingle.
The Peter Tingle, yeah.
Can we call it something else?
That was really, really great too. Yeah. I mean, and how he like swam back into his body.
Yep.
Yeah. But I also liked, I mean, it was really smart how like Peter, it was very Peter.
Yeah.
It was very Peter Parker, but being like very young, like idealistic Peter Parker going, no, we gotta help these guys. We can't just send them back to die.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and help them. And he does that. And it's really great, honestly, because like in all of the movies, they're all these tragic villains for the most part, even the Green Goblin, even Norman is pretty tragic because he's, he experimented on himself and
caused a mental break
and had a mental breakdown. And I mean, it was chemically pushed forward, but it was just, almost all of them. They like Electro and the Sandman, and
I like the way they did Sandman.
Yeah, apparently Thomas Hayden Church was never once in the there. He did all his mocapping.
Yep.
In the studio. He was never once actually on the set.
The Lizard seemed to kind of get like a background thing. I guess they cut like a big fight scene between Lizard and Doctor Strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like when the Lizard gets out of the back of that truck, there's supposed to be a big fight scene there that they, I guess, reference later. But yeah, it got cut. But honestly, for me, the big culmination was the fight at the Statue of Liberty.
Oh yeah. It was so good.
When the three of them landed together on the top, I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
and
there was a scene. I saw a meme that basically said that scene greater than Captain America wielding Mjolnir, and I went, ooh. That's a rough one for me, because I always loved, just the concept of Captain America wielding the Mjolnir, and because he's done it many times over the years. Not many times, a few times, and proven that he was worthy and stuff like that. And it was just really fucking cool. And but seeing the three Spider-Man just land, and you're just like, oh god, I teared up at several points in the film, and just like on a lot of these other superhero movies, I teared up not because it was an emotionally charged moment, but because it was like, I've waited years to see something like this in live action, something that I've seen in the comic books or pictured in my mind, and this is happening in live action. And wow.
Earlier on, the real point. So one of the things is that this Peter Parker, they've always avoided the origin story. He doesn't really have an origin story so much. He doesn't have the standard origin story, I should say. and they don't have like the Uncle Ben story and all that, and they fucking hit us with it in this one.
Right. Well, see,
and that one hit me.
Right. Oh, for sure. Almost immediately. See, the thing is, like, they didn't do an origin in Homecoming, mainly because
it'd been done so many times. Nobody wanted to see it again.
Everybody knows Peter Parker gets bit by a radioactive spider, blah, 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 gets spider powers. And they'd already done it in the first two versions. So they're like, we don't need to do this again. Let's do something different. And they also had a very different Aunt May. She was much younger.
Which I like. It makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
it makes more sense. I always thought it was weird that Peter at 16 had like this aunt that was like, looked like she was in her 80s.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how the fuck, right? I mean, that was the thing. They established that she was an elderly aunt, and it would have been more like a great aunt or something. But how they explained it off was that Ben Parker, he was the older brother of, Peter's father, and that he was a much older brother. Like he was like 16 or 18 when, Peter's father was born. So that's why Uncle Ben and Aunt May were like pretty much the next generation, the previous generation that his parents were. And this just made a lot more sense that she was old enough to be his mom, not old enough to be his grandma, they never really talk a whole lot about Ben. I think you and I talked about it. There was a casual mention about it him in the second movie that Peter was carrying his Uncle Ben's briefcase, suitcase or something like that. But yeah, they didn't really get into that, and that maybe Peter didn't really have, this version of Peter didn't have much of a relationship with his Uncle Ben. We always wondered what the fuck, So I think, but yeah, this was very much his moment, because she's the one that tells him with great power comes great responsibility. And it broke my fucking heart. I was sitting there. I was like, oh my God, is she going to say it? And she said the line, and Stella's just handing me her handkerchief, whatever. And I'm like, stop, there's somebody's cutting onions in here. It's a very dusty fucking theater. My sinuses,
Somebody bring a cat in here?
Yeah. My allergies. So, and then and that was the thing, I was like, when the Goblin Glider hit her, I'm like, oh fuck, she's not superhuman, man. And then she gets up. I'm like, oh my God, okay, that's weird. I mean, I thought she was done. And that happens sometimes when somebody gets up and they don't realize quite how hurt they are. And she basically probably just had internal injuries that she didn't.
She had a cut that she didn't know about that hit a major artery.
Must have been, yeah.
They showed it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, okay. You could see he had the blood. He saw the blood
on his hands. Right, yeah. You're right. So, and she really helped. I mean, she got through it. She helped him with trying to deal with the villains, and would you like some water? Okay, tap or salt? I'm an octopus, and I just thought that was fucking hilarious. You almost got to wonder, okay, was that an ad lib? That might. And that was, by the way, that cracked me up too, where he's just, you answer to me, and Peter's like playing with the arms and shit. Yeah. It's neat, and, so yeah, it's her dying was a big deal. It was a big deal. It
was his Uncle Ben moment.
It was an Uncle Ben moment, and it was not expected. I did not expect it at all. And now Pete, because we see at the end, he goes through it with the spell, because they go through with the spell, and that sends everybody home. And that's not going to bring every other person in the multiverse that knows Peter Parker's identity through, and because you were seeing, they started seeing like, silhouettes in the sky of other beings that knew who he was. And so, and he's like, I'm sorry. And he tells, MJ, and he tells Ned, they're going to forget him and stuff. And
I'll find you.
Yeah. And he says, I'll find you. And then, and some of the other things, and there are a lot of people that were saying like, okay, but what about all the pictures that they have together? And what about, just the various different things that just erasing someone's memory is not gonna do? Well, it's a magic spell.
It's gonna get rid of all
that. It's a magic
too.
Fucking spell. It's going to do that. It's going to erase Peter from their pictures. It's going to rearrange reality to the point where Peter is now a non-entity. It may even adjust it so that Peter is a person and has an identity, but he doesn't have an identity with anybody that knew him before.
Mm-hmm.
So now he has to build his new identity. So like it showed in the final scenes where he's getting his GED now because he doesn't go to that school anymore, and things like that. And he's not going to be able to go to Columbia University or wherever he wanted. I think it was Columbia.
MIT.
No, it was MIT. Right. So he's going to have to probably go to like some other smaller university or something, which has got immense talent. So wherever he goes, he's going to shine. So, but I honestly seeing that scene at the gravesite where he's saying goodbye to May.
Yeah.
And Happy is there too. Oh, broke my heart. Just broke my heart.
How'd you know her?
Spider-Man. Knew there's Spider-Man. And it's like, oh, so did I. And it's just like, oh, son of a bitch. And you're like, ah. Because that's a thing. How is that going to affect Happy? Because Happy met May through Peter.
But he remembers him. He remembers Spider-Man. So he met Spider-Man. May through Spider-Man, but he doesn't remember that Peter is Spider-Man.
Right. So, yeah. So I guess that wouldn't necessarily erase like Peter's connection to May because May was dead at that point, but it would erase, Peter's connection to all these other people, at least as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was so fucking heavy, so heavy. And then there are other people that were like, Peter broke his promise. He broke his promise. He didn't go back and try and, well, he saw MJ and Ned and saw them as who they are. He saw them
fulfilling their potential.
Right. He saw them happy and fulfilling their potential and not in danger anymore. And he's like, that was the biggest thing. He didn't want to put his friends in danger.
Yeah. The other thing that came up in this was MJ, and that she is, was it Michelle Jones?
Michelle Jones.
Yeah, Watson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But she doesn't she doesn't use the Watson.
Yep.
And so there were people that were like, okay, why? Is she estranged from her father? Is she estranged from her mother? Is she, she talked about her dad and about, oh no, we can't go to my house or my dad will kill you or whatever. And so maybe she's estranged from her mom. Maybe there's a reason why, they were like, okay, this is why, she doesn't, why is it she doesn't use that? There's a lot of questions there. There was also a lot of people really loved the redemption of these other spider characters, the other Spider-Man. Not so much the redemption, but there was a lot of closure involved, like when the goblin stabs Toby, I was like, oh God. But he's like, no, I'm all right. I've been stabbed before, because I thought, oh God, no, don't kill Toby. Don't kill the Spider-Man that seems to be the most together.
Well,
please.
and Andrew Garfield actually really came off well in this, whereas a lot of people didn't like him in his movies. They didn't like his movies. Now people are like, I want another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie after seeing him in this. So I mean,
There's actually there's talk both about
Sony, I guess, is in talks with him.
Yeah, Toby and Andrew Garfield are both kind of like they're. It's not so much a rumor as it is maybe it's more of a possibility that Sony could be like, all right, we'll make another Andrew Garfield movie. Do you guys really want to see it? Okay, great. I mean,
he's the only one that didn't get
MJ,
3.
Huh?
He's the only one that didn't get 3.
He's the only one that didn't get 3. And they're saying that, even Tobey Maguire is saying, yeah, maybe I can come back and, now, we could do a 4th one.
The thing about closure, you're talking about closure and everything like that. Him saving MJ.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that was fantastic when he couldn't save Gwen.
Absolutely. It's you could see, I mean, it was another one that brought me to tears because I was just like, oh my God, because that's such a huge thing in the comics. It's one of Peter's greatest, one of the things he beats himself up the most about is that. It's I mean, seeing that kind of, it's like he forgave himself. He was able to forgive himself.
Yep.
Because in the comics, there's a question. There is in the thing there was never, we never know for sure whether the Green Goblin killed her and threw her off the.
I actually read that no, it was actually Spider-Man grabbing her that killed her.
That she snapped her neck.
Yep.
From and so there are, because she was unconscious, and that it snapped her neck, and because there's a little snap, kind of thing when it grabs her, when the web catches her thing, and so it's this horrible thing, and for him to, it's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that Peter has always beat himself up about. So. It's seeing that happen, like I said, it's another one of those moments that kind of got me a little choked up because I was like, oh man, just feel for the guy, and being able to save MJ like that when Peter got knocked away, it was seeing him just no, and he jumps to go for it, and it was incredible. It was incredible. One of my favorite moments in the film. I really, really hope they explore these other movies with these other concepts, and just give more closure, particularly closure to the Andrew Garfield ones, because I think the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, I'd like to see a 4th one, mainly because the 3rd one was kind of a big disappointment.
Well, and that was because Sam Raimi was force-fed Venom.
Right, exactly.
He didn't want to do Venom. He wanted to do the Sandman story and close up the Green Goblin. But
I'd also like to see how their world changed by fixing those villains, by helping those guys, helping the Sandman, curing him, basically, helping, having Norman, be not dead and sane again, and having Otto, not crazy, at the very least, not crazy anymore. Where would they go from there? Who's going to be the villain in that one? Is it going to be Kraven the Hunter? Is it going to be the Kingpin? Is it going to be
Scorpion, Rhino?
Yeah.
I mean, so many.
The Vulture.
Because Vulture we didn't see in that universe.
No,
that was in the Tom Holland universe,
right? Which was absolutely fantastic too. By the way, Michael Keaton was absolutely incredible. Yep. So,
and he's going to be in Morbius,
and he is. He's going to be in Morbius. So, I think I'd be really excited to see how these all play out.
Yeah. Stuff, So let's talk about the post-credit scene.
Well, the post-credit scene with Venom, with
Tom Holland,
and or not Tom Holland,
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. That was really funny. The other thing that too is like, which is indicative of these Spider-Man movies. He's like, yeah, no, I'm part of the Avengers. You go,
Oh
what
yeah, that
is
one.
that? What is that? A band?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, what's the Avengers? I was like, oh, okay. What's the Avengers?
Well, you guys don't have the. Never mind. You know, and it's these. So you've got these worlds where Spider-Man is pretty much, like, as far as we know, one of the only superheroes. So, really fucking cool. But yeah, so we see Tom Hardy basically sitting in a bar,
a tiki bar in
tiki bar.
Some tropical place like Mexico or something like that.
And he's trying to get a grip on the fact that all this stuff has happened on this world. Like,
wait a minute, where am I? There's
everybody
what?
was snapped and they were gone for 5 years, and there's all these weird people with powers running around, and
and Venom's like yelling in his ear and in his head and stuff. He's like, and we are getting drunk.
I gotta admit, the back and forth play between Venom and Eddie in the movies is really kind of one of the best parts of those movies.
That scene right there, Renee watched it and she hasn't seen either of the Venom movies. She's like, if that's what the Venom movies are like, I want to see them now.
Oh yeah.
I said, yeah, that's kind of what it is.
I haven't watched the second one yet.
I haven't either.
I haven't watched it yet. The first one was good. It was, and that was one of the better parts of them, is the fact that the two of them have this odd couple kind of back and forth kind of thing. And like, he'll call him a parasite. I'm not a parasite. Don't call me, and things like that. And it's some funny shit.
Yeah, they anyway, so they do that whole thing, and then he bamps out once the spell goes through.
Right.
But there's one little piece that's on the bar that starts crawling away, which to me is a fucking cop out to bring Venom into the MCU.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that is a total and complete cop out. And I'm not happy with it. I'm about as happy with that as I was with Venom in Spider-Man 3 from the Sam Raimi days, which was very not. So,
yeah.
But yeah. Overall, though, absolutely love the movie. There's so much more that I mean, I could talk about every single scene in that movie, I think. It was just so good. Going to Happy, when they hit out at Happy's place.
His condo, yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff I thought was just fantastic.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, just like the living space, and and seeing these scientists go, just go on and on about it. Just I'm like, seeing the fabricator, the Stark fabricator, that could just make just about anything, and you're like, holy shit. And just seeing these scientists, that we're like, wow, neat.
When it punched through Happy's wall too.
No, punched the wall when they opened it up. Yeah. The fact after the spell went off, and at the end where you see the sewing machine, and that Peter obviously made another costume again, made his old suit back again, and it was just really it was really great. It was a very sweet movie, and I just really enjoyed it. It's sweet and heartfelt, and definitely brings the tears, man.
Yep.
Brings the tears. Oh, so
all
good.
Right. Well, I don't think we really have time to talk about Boba Fett.
Probably not.
We'll do episodes 2 and 3 next week.
Sounds good.
Because we're already at 1 hour and 40 minutes, so we do that. We'll be here for a while. Although there wasn't a whole lot to talk about in this episode, I don't think. It was a good episode, but there wasn't a lot to really digest in it. So, right. But yeah. So, was there anything else you had?
Nope.
All right.
Nope. I'm good.
Yeah, I got a couple things, but we can save those for later. Some stuff that I was reading. I'll save the articles, and we'll come back to them maybe next week. So, because next week I'll have a list.
There you go. Sounds good.
So
bring the lists.
All right. Boring Boba. Yeah, you know what? It was not a great Boba Fett I mean, it was really good. I enjoyed it, and I really did enjoy it. But I can see where people would say it was boring because it was a lot of slow moments with a little bit of action here and there. But we'll get into that next week. So, but yeah, I think you want to tell people where they can find us?
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. And if you couldn't join us tonight, Chris will put the episode up on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. Guys,
I still got to get last week's up.
Guys, you can find us at all the places you can find quality podcasting. We are on the Google Play Store. We are on on Apple, on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We are on Odyssey, and we are on Spotify, Stitcher, Odyssey, iHeartRadio.
I'm like,
thank you. Guys, you can also download and stream all of our episodes at www.nerdswithalcoholshow.com, which got a new facelift thanks to Chris and his computer savviness.
And remember, we still want new followers. If you can subscribe, great. That'd be awesome. I'll be back probably tomorrow morning doing some Elder Scrolls stuff.
Skyrim.
Yep, be starting Skyrim for the first time.
Be sure to let me know when you're going to be on, because I might need to get up for this. I've got errands to run. I got to go get my glasses. It's comic book day.
But yeah, so we so certainly won't be on when you are. Yeah, I understand, CD. But yeah, we are looking for new followers, new subscribers. As always, so tell your friends, tell your family, tell people you meet on the street. But yeah, you can follow us on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds, and we are on YouTube Drinking Nerds. So
that's right.
So I think on that
that's
note,
right. On that note,
until next time. And thanks,
until
CD.
Next time.
He said, you guys rock. Thanks.
Thanks, CD.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of you guys that come out every week, and those that only show up once in a while or show up, once and don't come back. But we appreciate everybody that comes out and hangs out with us for a while. So I think on that note, until next time, Sláinte. That was a pretty good one. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.